Chess. You've heard of it, you've probably seen it. For 1,500 years, it's been this epic battle of wits, all playing out on just 64 squares. But how did it become, well, the ultimate game of the mind? Let's get into it.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? In a world full of video games and endless scrolling, this ancient game is having a massive moment. It's a test of foresight, of nerve, and it connects us to literally centuries of players who sat right where we are, just thinking about that next move.
And what a history it's had. It all started back in the 7th century as a game called Chaturanga in India. From there, it evolved as it spread through Persia and Europe. The rules we play with today, they mostly got locked in around the 15th century. But it took until 1849 for the pieces to get their standard look. Then you fast forward to our time, you've got computers beating the best players in the world, and now an absolutely huge online boom that's put chess onto millions of new screens.
Okay, so to get the game, you first have to know your forces. Let's start with the absolute basics. The battlefield is simple, an 8x8 checkered board. The goal, though, is everything. You have one mission, trap your opponent's king in what we call checkmate. That means he's under attack and there's absolutely nowhere for him to run. Game over. And here they are. This is your army. Each side gets 16 pieces. 1 king, 1 queen, 2 rooks, 2 bishops, 2 knights, and a line of 8 pawns. Every single one is a different kind of weapon in your arsenal.
So how do all these pieces actually work? Look, understanding how they move is the key. It unlocks the entire game.
Yeah, see? Each piece is totally unique. The rook moves in straight lines, up, down, left, right, like a plus sign. The bishop, it slices across the board diagonally, like an X. The queen is an absolute monster. She's got the power of both the rook and the bishop. The king is cautious. He just takes it one step at a time in any direction. Pawns are your foot soldiers. They march one step forward, but they attack diagonally. And then you've got the knight, the trickster. It moves in an L shape, and it's the only piece that can literally jump over other pieces. Now, there are also 3 special moves that you just have to know. First is castling. It's this cool move where you can zip your king over to safety and bring your rook into the action at the same time. Then there's pawn promotion. If you can get one of your little pawns all the way to the other side of the board, boom, you can trade it in for a much more powerful piece. Yep, usually a brand new queen. And finally, there's a weird one called en passant, which means in passing. It's a special way a pawn can capture another pawn. Get these 3 down and you're well on your way.
You know, every serious hobby has its own language, right? Well, chess is no different. It's called notation, and it's how players can record and replay any game from history.
The system everyone uses is called algebraic notation. It's really just a simple grid. The columns are labeled A through H, and the rows are 1 through 8. So every single square has its own name, kind of like the game Battleship. This system lets us write down every move with total precision. And beginners ask the best questions about this stuff. A user on Reddit asked how you would write down a really specific game-ending move. A castle that also happens to deliver checkmate. It sounds complicated, doesn't it?
But look how simple the notation is. OO is just the symbol for castling on the king's side, and that little pound sign or hashtag, that means checkmate. So OO hash. That's it. So simple, so elegant. And then you get comments like this, which just perfectly capture the vibe of chess notation. Another Reddit user, Crying Ripper Tear, saw the notation KXG6 hash and just said it sounds like a legendary move. And you know what? They are not wrong. So what on earth does that mean? Okay, let's break it down. K is for king. The X means captures. G6 is the name of the square the king is moving to. And the hashtag sign, well, you know that one now. It means checkmate. So the king itself makes a capture on the G6 square, and that single action wins the entire game. Doesn't get much more legendary than that. So once you know how the pieces move, the real game starts. This isn't just about pushing wood. It's about planning, it's about outwitting your opponent, and seeing the board in a totally new light. To win, you've really got to think on 2 levels, strategy and tactics. Your strategy is the big picture, your long-term plan. Think of it like taking the high ground in a battle. It's all about controlling the center, getting your pieces into the game, and making sure your king is safe. But tactics are the street fight. They're the quick, sharp 2 or 3 move combinations that win you a piece or force a sudden checkmate. Let's look at a few of these tactical ideas. A fork is when one of your pieces attacks 2 enemy pieces at the same time.
A pin is when you trap an enemy piece because moving it would expose an even more important piece behind it. And a skewer is kind of the reverse. You attack a valuable piece, forcing it to move out of the way and exposing a weaker piece behind it for you to take. Learning to spot these patterns is the secret to leveling up your game big time.
Okay, let's bring it all together. How did this ancient game get the iconic look we all recognize today, and why is it more popular right now than ever before?
You might not believe this, but before the mid-1800s, playing a chess match with someone from another country could be a total mess. The pieces looked wildly different depending on where you were. A player from England might not even recognize the pieces a player from Italy was using. The game desperately needed a universal design.
And in 1849, we got one, the Staunton set. The design was clean, simple, and everybody could recognize it. And here's an incredible little detail. The famous Staunton Knight, that iconic horse head, it was probably modeled on a sculpture from the actual Parthenon in Athens, the horse of Selene, the moon goddess. So there's a little piece of ancient Greek art right there on your chessboard. How cool is that?
This new, standardized set was a total game changer. It was easy to make, easy to get, and most importantly, everyone on the planet could understand it. The Staunton set is what helped turn chess from a bunch of regional hobbies into the global sport we know today.
And that global reach has just hit a whole new level. In 2020, thanks to things like global lockdowns and shows like The Queen's Gambit, online chess didn't just grow, it exploded. Millions and millions of new players discovered the game, proving that its appeal is absolutely timeless, even in our crazy modern world.
So, from its ancient beginnings to its digital explosion, chess is still the ultimate test of the mind. The history is written, the rules are clear, and your army is waiting for your command. The board is set, the only real question left is, what's your next move?